Brother, welcome.
Sweet. Thank you for having me.
I saw some of your stuff, man. I came across a little video, a little edit that you made, and I was like, holy shit, this is fucking rad. I gotta talk to this bloke.
Love that. Which one was that?
Fuck, it was a while back now.
Huh. Damn.
I wouldn't have guessed that you're from the States, from the scenery.
Really? What?
Mm.
Yeah, I think it must have been you probably saw one from up in the Bugaboos in Canada. It's like I we went up there this summer, videoed some stuff, and it was like the most beautiful, vast, like huge mountainous landscape I've ever seen in my entire life. And yeah, it was amazing up there.
Especially if when you live in the city, right? You forget how big the world actually is and how
Yeah,
big these landscapes actually are, right? Like you
yeah.
sit you sit at the bottom of the mountain, you're like, holy shit, I am tiny.
I am tiny.
And
So true.
completely insignificant as well, right? Like you're
Yeah.
like, this motherfucker's been here for millions of years,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be here for what, 80? It's like, come on, like this
Come
isn't
on.
even in comparison.
Yeah.
Mate,
Yeah, that
why'd you do what
was
you do?
how do I do what I do or wait, what?
Why?
Oh, well, what do you mean like the video stuff or like the adventure stuff?
Both.
Because okay, both. So for the adventure stuff, I I just do it for the I don't know, the pure like happiness that it gives my life. Whatever it may be. I do surfing, mountain biking, rock climbing, like anything outdoors, like mountaineering, all that kind of stuff. And I found that when I was little, my dad would take me out on these trips and we go like snowboarding, go rock climbing, all this stuff. And I was just like, wow, this is the thing that makes me so like fucking happy. Like I literally I'm like, okay, I'm an extremely happy person all the time. Like I'm not just saying that, like I actually feel like I'm just like generally really happy. And I think it's literally because I spend so much time outside in the mountains doing all these sports. And I found that when I was little, when we would go on these trips, I'd be like, oh my God, this is like what I'm supposed to be doing. And then the filmmaking kind of ties into it because obviously all I want to do is just go outside and be adventurous and whatever, do all the sports I love to do so much. But I also have to like I can't just do that as a job because that's like impossible. I mean it's possible, but like it's just hard to do. So
Yeah.
it was also nice to bring in the film side of things so I could still have these amazing experiences and I don't know, just like fill up my happiness cup so much. And then also like get paid and do work for it.
Mm.
And the film work is also like its own thing where I just like love the creativity of it, and that makes me happy too. But it's all about pretty much the reason I do all this stuff is just like finding the greatest levels of happiness for myself, and just yeah,
Mm.
it's pretty much it.
I've been batting around with a bit of an idea of, as of recently, of basically that humans need to do something creative,
Yeah.
and I don't know. It seems like you've always been the creative type, but as a kid, I definitely was not. Creativity kind of came through physicality in terms of sport or working out
Mm.
or stuff like that, and a lot of folks I grew up around was exactly the same.
Yeah.
But as you kind of meet a lot more folks and see what they do and these fucking beautiful combination of the modern world of videographer and then
Yeah.
also the natural world and the ancient world of like what is out there, right? Natural
Yeah.
beauty, mother nature. You start to think, actually, maybe we are these like little emotional, living, breathing, creating beings that are supposed to do these types of things. And maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't make you any money, but we're supposed to have at least a hobby that create something out of our own like questions of existence.
I definitely agree with that. I think we're as humans we're supposed to be doing the things we're doing outside or create like creativity in general. I think it just I don't know, like if you go back to the times before we were like super civilized, we were always like outside, whether it be like creating baskets and doing all that kind of stuff, or like a lot of the men would go out and like hunt. And I think that like actually brought I mean, yes, it was like super gnarly and it was hard to live in, but I think that brought like a lot of joy. And now we're kind of like veering or not veering away, we're like completely away from that, where we kind of just like if you're not outside, you're sitting in your house on your phone or something. Like, I don't know. I think we're supposed to be like you said, I think we're supposed to be creating and being outside, doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we fill every little time, every little void with distraction, right? Like we get on the phone
Yeah.
and we scroll or we play Buddy, Doodle
Yeah.
Jump or Angry Birds or whatever the fuck people play, like it's
Yeah.
strange. Like,
It's weird.
we've created this concept of time and it always ticks and we're like, oh, well, I'm getting closer and closer to my time being up. And then you kind of look around. Again, I'm going to use that analogy of that mountain. It was like,
Yeah.
that mountain probably doesn't give a fuck about time.
No,
It's just doing its thing.
it's just doing this thing.
Maybe we should be a little bit more like that. Yeah, I'm not saying be ignorant to the fact that we're all going to die, but you
Yeah.
know, maybe be okay with just kind of sitting still for a minute.
Mm. Yeah, sitting still, boredom. I think boredom and yeah, sitting still is definitely important. Do you not, what are your thoughts on like, I'm just curious because you reached out to me because you saw my stuff on social media. And I have my own opinions about like what I do. I'm not always super stoked to be, I don't know, making everyone stare at their phones longer, but like, what are your thoughts on the social media world and like, I don't know, everyone just on their phones all the time, it seems like.
Um, I think autonomy should be in everybody's hands. I
Yeah.
think you should have the option, right? And if somebody chooses to go down a negative path, then it's kind of on you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Um, Social media is a fantastic tool, and it should be used like that. It's a tool rather than it's the be all and end all, right? Like you see
Yeah.
everybody get obsessed with it, but we get obsessed with everything.
Yeah.
It's now gone into the limelight. Like people are obsessed with newspapers, obsessed with playing fucking football in the street. Like we're obsessive creatures. We get like that. As long as we can draw our own lines and keep ourselves within them and be like, listen, I can't do 12 hours a day on Instagram anymore. Like it's affecting my life. Like, oh, okay, probably that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's great, man. And I think you're able to the reason why reached out was fewfold. You bridge together the modern and the ancient world, and I think that's beautiful. The natural
Mhm.
world and the modern world of technology. But you're also able to tell stories through
Mm.
imagery, whether you stick somebody talking on it, whether you write words on it, or whether you don't.
Mhm.
You're showing imagery of a story, and people can then dip into that and they can see a different reality. And I think I'm gonna maybe add weight to the argument that social media is good here. It's
Mm.
free,
Yeah. Yeah. It's free.
right? Not everybody can get out to the mountains because not everybody
Yeah.
lives near them, which
Yeah.
costs
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
can now experience the stories and the lessons that you've had and
True.
then you've
True.
relayed it into a medium that people can then digest and find the lessons that they're going to get from it rather than just reading your account. And I
True.
think that's powerful.
Well, thanks. That's a great way of putting it. I like that way. It feels yeah, that feels better. I hope it inspires people to go out. I mean, yeah, I guess if they can't experience it, you can live it vicariously, but also hope it inspires people to go outside after watching whatever I put out.
Yeah.
But I definitely struggled with because it's so hard for me because I have like an idea about being or like the natural world feels very much like you shouldn't link together like social media and the natural, at least like for me, something about that feels a little bit just strange. Just because I'm like I was always like never on my phone, like didn't want anyone to be on their phones, like we just like love like actual conversation, like hanging out with
Mm.
people, not attached to screens. And then when I'm kind of pushing it on people in a way, just because I'm putting my stuff out there, like it's getting views and people are watching it, I was like feeling like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this because it's like I'm like preying on people's attention or whatever. But I guess like you said, there's no one's forcing anyone to do this. It's free and they can just like it's yeah, like you have a choice to watch or not. You don't have to be
Mm.
on your phone. And I hope if they do watch, like it definitely inspires some sort of adventure seeking person or something. So yeah.
I think that's that little voice in the back of your head, saying maybe you shouldn't be doing this. And
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, life is a wrestling match between you and that bloody voice,
Yeah.
right? And you've just got to make sure that you win. Um,
Yeah.
but I think back regularly to a lot of folks like who are either still back in a council estate or kids who grow up in a similar environment. And it's like you only know one mindset, and
Mhm.
your entire world is evolved around a couple of streets and the same type of people.
Yeah.
And everything else kind of gets tarred with a prejudice brush. And that usually means it's got a negative connotation attached to it too. And you only see the world through one set of lenses. And social media has now created this thing where, okay, you got algorithms and you got all this fucking shit. Okay, mint. But at least they now have the opportunity to be able to see a different perspective and hear different voices.
Uh-huh.
So you can challenge your own thinking of like, maybe there is a bigger world out there than the house I grew up in. And that goes both ways, right? If somebody grew up in a friggin' mansion, with billions of dollars and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, well, now you can see the world isn't just like that. And
Yeah.
everywhere in between. Someone grew up in an island, someone grew up in Central Africa. It is now kind of connecting those lessons. And
Hmm.
I think it's planting the seed, mate. Later on
Yeah.
down the line, some people will be like, you know what? I'm not just gonna go to Ibiza for a lad's holiday. I'm gonna go to the Solomon Islands and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
what they think and eat the food of their people and like learn a little
Yeah.
bit of culture.
Yeah. Connecting the world for
Connect with
sure.
the world.
Yeah. 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 I like that.
What's the
That's
biggest lesson that you've learned from these adventures?
um. Let me think. This last one was definitely one of the. Well, okay. I say I have two different kinds of adventures. I have like the adventures where it's literally or like for me, I went to Guatemala and then before Guatemala I went to Portugal, and those are very much more culture experiencing relaxed adventures. And so during those, I feel like I learned to just I don't know. I constantly I guess I have maybe a loud voice in my head, but I'm constantly stressing that I'm not doing enough or I need to be doing something like every second and like I need to be feeling this way, that way, whatever. But what wait, your question was like what have I like my biggest like lesson during these trips, right? Well, so like I feel like my biggest lesson in Guatemala was just to literally like slow down and just experience life because everything was so beautiful. Like every single, I remember when it hit me like 5 days in, I was walking through the street in Antigua and I was just seeing like, I don't know, just like children playing and like the beautiful like colors of the town. And then when I had nothing to worry about because I was just there and like experiencing like whatever trip I was on or just I had nothing to do the rest of the day. Like I had nothing to look forward to, nothing to like stress about. I literally was just like enjoying every single second. And it was like the craziest thing ever. I don't know. I just learned to like relax into like the lesson was just like relax into the moment pretty much and just like be like totally comfortable with that. And I feel like when I came back home, at first I was a little uncomfortable, but then I was able to like bring that back and just like feel every single moment was like amazing and beautiful. And I don't know, that was definitely like a big like lesson I learned in Guatemala and throughout the last couple of trips for me.
Mm,
Um, but for the mountaineering experiences, I've learned that you can do so much more than you ever thought you could do. um, I've just you yeah, that's definitely the biggest lesson I've learned is that your mind is telling you you can't do it, but you definitely can. If you really dig deep, like you can do it. You can do hard things, like everyone can. And that's helped me. It's nice to bring these a lot of mountaineers and people who spend lots of time rock climbing or like mountaineering, whatever, bring back these experiences that you can't really put it in like a section. I like it's hard to explain, but like you bring it back to society and it's like this experience from the mountains, but then you can just use it what you can teach it to other people and just use it in your own life. Like I can do okay, so like I was just like climbing a 14 or like a 14,000 foot peak and I had like 101-degree fever and I was so sick, but I like every step I was like, you can do this, like you can do this, you can get through this. Like it's hard, but like I know you can do this. And not recommending to climb a mountain if you have a fever to anyone listening, but I when I got back down, got back to society, anything hard that came my way, I was like, just I don't know. I feel like I could just get through anything, and that was like the biggest lesson for me for sure in the mountains. So two different little lessons there, but yeah. That's
What is that voice at the back of your head saying?
uh it's constantly being like just okay. Well, for me, it was a bit quieter a year ago, but I just recently left university, college, to pursue like a my film work and try to really dive deep. And I just ever since I was little, I've very much hated the idea of me having like being forced to sit in class when I could be doing something that I actually really like to do with my life. And it's an amazing thing for me. Sorry,
Oh
it's an
no, don't
amazing thing for
apologize.
me to drop out, but it's also extremely stressful for that voice in my head because it's telling me like I have to be doing something every single second because all I like because at this point I'm on my like on my own. I have to make it, and like if I'm just all relaxed like one day or something, I'm like, oh fuck, I should be editing, I should be making a video, something creative, like reaching out to brands, like literally just like get just like try to do as much as possible so I can so I can justify me not going to university. But I think it's actually good sometimes having that voice in my head because it like motivates me. But then sometimes when I don't need that and I've done enough, I have to learn how to like silence it a little bit.
Mm.
So yeah.
Just said a key point there. You got to learn how to silence it. I think that's so true. I think it is such a deep motivator. It keeps us going. Sometimes we
Yeah.
got to run away from things, and sometimes we got to run towards others.
Yeah.
We do need that thing that is going to tell us, well, your back is against the wall. Your wallet is empty. It is all on you. What are you going to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
But when the day is done, we need to be able to put the pen down, right? And
Yeah.
close the book and be like, okay, I could bury myself and dig myself an early grave, and then tomorrow's work gets affected, and the next week's gets affected, and then it's all dog shit.
Yeah.
Or we could rest, recuperate, recover, go again tomorrow with our best ability and our
Yeah.
strong foot forward, right? And that's a
Yeah.
hard one, mate. That's a lesson that I fucking took me forever to learn.
How did you learn it?
People around me.
Yeah.
For the longest of times, I was out on my Billy Bob, out on my own, and kind of gave everybody the middle finger and that thumb sprayed out to the side to show a little bit of swag, and was just like, "Fuck you guys, I'm gonna go do this thing," and nobody really gave a shit, and that's okay. Like I was all right with that. Um, Big enough chip on the shoulder to collect the water when I got a little dehydrated, but it gets to a time where it's like, well, you know, the saying holds weight of if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. And it's really important to be able to develop that team
Huh.
around you. And some people leave, and you leave other people's teams, and that's okay. That's just growing and kind of maturing through life, I guess. But understanding that on your own, you can go as hard as you fucking can because you're the only person it's going to affect.
Yeah.
And then when you start developing that teamship, you can't do that anymore because it will start affecting others. And you got to
Mm.
understand when to do that, when to delegate, and when be like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to open myself up to a little bit more friendship or socialize or whatever. But you need to understand how far you can go. I'm a huge advocate of like you got to understand how fucking hard you can work.
Yeah.
You gotta go too far and be like, actually, that's the end point. That is my end point. I can't do that anymore. And then you draw boundaries and borders for yourself. Everyone say, "Oh, respect your boundaries." It's like, yeah, but you gotta know where they fucking are first,
Yeah. True.
and to know that sometimes you gotta cross them,
Mm.
and that's okay.
Hmm. Cross the boundaries.
Yeah, and then be like, "I'm not willing to do that anymore," or you could be like, "Well, I'm willing to do that." And things will get sacrificed, and that's okay. That's on you. That's on me.
Mhm.
That's on everybody else. Like you have that authority. Like it's our fucking selves. And if you're
Yeah.
trying to do something that is self-taught, it's self-learned, it's different. Folks around you probably don't quite understand it when you start, and in the middle, they probably still won't understand it. And then only when you gain a little bit of momentum, they say, "Oh, that's really cool." And you kind of look at them and be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you didn't give a shit for like 10
Yeah.
years." But hey, it is what it is. People aren't gonna believe until they see.
Yeah. True. True.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be faith, right? If you believe what you see, it's not faith, mate.
It's not faith.
But
we
just gotta
we
keep
had a
going, bro.
Yeah, just keep going. We had a conversation. I was in Guatemala with a couple. We ended up meeting like a bunch of like travel influencers for like a dinner, and it was funny hearing what they said. Where they're like, yeah, everyone when I first started, everyone was like, "What the hell are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
why are you doing this?" And like everyone hated me. Like he was saying that his family, his friends, everyone was just like giving him so much shit. And then when he made it, do you know who Jordan Tolley is?
I don't think so.
Um, yeah, okay. He's like just a big travel guy. And he when he like he's like really big. And when he met it, like everyone's like, "Oh my God, my friend Jordan he
Yeah, yeah,
travels for his
yeah,
job and all this stuff." But like meanwhile, before he made it, they're all just like, "What are you doing?" Like they're almost borderline like not being friends with him. And another couple at the table shared similar stories and stuff. And no
yeah.
one really fully understands or cares till you make it.
But that's
Which
it,
is-
mate. Because you're trying to change. You're trying to change something. You're trying to
yeah.
change what you're doing, which is going to change you. And people grasp hold of the past version of you because they know it. It's familiar, right?
Mm.
It's my mate. They've got you. But it's like you're trying to change. So it's
Yeah.
going to create a little bit of distance and some separation. And that's all right. People are going to change with you, right?
Mhm.
I probably think about this too much. But I think about Snoop Dogg. He ends up turning around and said it's called closing the gap, right? You're trying to elevate yourself, and everybody else is at the original level. It's up
Uh,
to them to close that gap.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If they want to stay the same, it's peace and love, man. Like I can't hate you for that, and nor can you do that to myself. But we're
That's
gonna go
cool.
in different paths because you're trying to do something, I'm trying to do something, other people are trying to do something. If they want to do
Yeah.
the same thing, they want to roll dice every single weekend. They want to go to the same bar or pub and they want to do the same shit. No problem, man. I hope you have a wonderful life. And in fact, I hope you're fucking happy doing so. But like
Yeah.
people like you and I are not the types of characters that can do that.
No.
You got to push the boundary, right? You got to figure out
Yeah.
where it is. You got to try something. You got to be a little creative.
Try. Yeah.
You
I
got to
my
try.
biggest the thing I dislike more than anything in this entire world is like blandness. Like I really dislike. I don't know why. It just like really pissed me off. That doesn't piss me off. It just blandness in general when things aren't like exciting or interesting or you're doing the same thing every day. Like I don't know. That puts me off sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, if people are happy doing that though, I'm like, that's amazing. But yeah, for me and you, I guess I couldn't really be happy going to the same bar, living in the same place for the rest of my life, like doing that loop. But I like that Snoop Dogg quote, the bridging, like closing the
Closing the
gap.
gap. Yeah.
That's cool. Never
Think
heard that.
about it a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I'll be thinking about that for sure.
There's a lot of people that you leave behind, man. And
Mm,
they look at you saying you left.
mm.
You changed. Yeah, that's the point. The
Yeah,
point was to change. I didn't want to fucking live the life that I was living. You don't want to be the person that you're being. You wanted to
yeah.
change. That's the whole frigging point of it. And if someone doesn't want to, that's fine. Again, it goes back to an age old saying is most people die at 25 and are buried at 75.
I
You know?
like why have I never I feel like I've heard that, but like I've never that's a good one. Damn. Die at 25, buried at 70. That's so good.
It
Huh.
I find stagnation really frightening
Yeah.
and sad, right? It's not peace. It's not stillness. That's different. I'm talking everything is the same, like Groundhog Day. I
Yeah, yeah.
find that fucking frightening.
Yeah, that's scary.
You know,
That's
it's like you gotta mix things up. You gotta try something new. You gotta be the dumbest one in the room. You've gotta you gotta fail a couple of times.
you gotta be the dumbest. That's so good. Dumbest
Dude,
one.
it's every room I walk into, mate. I'm telling you. Yeah, some people talk, you're like, holy shit, I am the
Holy shit.
dumbest motherfucker in this place. But like, I'm
Or you're the
here,
smartest.
I'm here, let's learn.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. People are I don't know. People are so smart in some ways and then just like very unintelligent in other ways. And everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. And I've definitely learned that going to college or university
Yeah.
for the last year. I was like you're really smart, but like I don't know if you're ever gonna be happy doing what you're
Yeah.
doing. It's like it's gnarly. But yeah,
The difference
change.
between book smart and street smart, mate, it's a very big gap.
Definitely.
You know, they do say common sense is the least common of all senses.
I
And
like
it is
that.
so true. Brother, I got three questions.
Yeah, hit me.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
From my dad, this one was what was I was like 9 years old or something, and he was like, you can have the car, like the shiny fancy car, but you can't let the car have you. Like you can have the riches, but like don't let the things have you. You know, that hit me deep because I don't know. I see tons of people like in LA and stuff like all like they're obsessed with their like things and like that's like all there is in their life, and the things have them. But I don't know, something about that. I was like, yeah, I can be successful and then also be like down to earth and like still enjoy the things I like love to do so much in the mountains. And so I always think about that. But yeah, also probably from like, do you know the book Way of the Peaceful Warrior?
Yeah.
I feel like most quotes in that book hit so hard for me. That's just like the best life advice
Hmm.
I've given. But yeah, that's my answer to question number one.
What about the worst piece of life advice you've ever received?
Let me think about that. Worst piece of life advice. Um, well, I feel like everyone in my life has been quite. I haven't gotten crazy life advice. I mean, I guess the worst life advice would be from like my teachers. When I was like a freshman in high school, about being like, okay, this is what you have to do, so you can go to this college and get this job and stuff. Like, it's not necessarily like it wasn't like a piece of advice or like a quote or anything, but it was more of just like what they were telling me I had to do. And I thought that was just gonna put me in with everyone else and just make me like a normal robotic person. So that
Hmm.
was probably some of the worst advice I received. Do this and then be happy is pretty much what they said to me. But like I don't really want to do that, and I won't be happy doing that.
Yeah, follow this preset path because you are a
Yeah.
follower and you shall walk it, you know.
Yes, I'm just a sheep.
Like, okay. If that's the game that we're playing, then I'm gonna change games. You
Yeah,
know, it's like
yeah.
cool, cool. I'll bring a pair of dice to a card game. You know, just why
Yeah.
not?
Why not? Just
Why
be
not?
crazy.
Yeah, play something different.
Let's go.
What what are the three words you would tell your younger self?
Um, my younger self. Well, the from where the peaceful warrior, the big like here and now is what I would tell myself last year. But my young self, um, I would just say, well, I guess four words: life's good, don't worry. Like that. That's it. Don't like
Mm,
just the worrying about this and that just destroys every day. I think life is just like just gotta relax into it and see the beauty in every moment. And then I feel like that I would have been much happier kid if I knew that. But obviously you can't really know that as a kid. Like that's just something that I think you like either read or find out.
yeah,
Like or at least as like a little kid. Not quite conscious yet like that. But yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been an honor and a privilege, mate.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you.
Mate, you're welcome
Yeah.
back anytime. We can talk some shit, and I can't wait to see where you go next, lad.
I hope things work out too. Let me know also what do you are you like this is on Spotify, right? And do you have like an Instagram or something that you
Yes, sir.
that
Yeah,
you run?
this thing kind of goes everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's across like 8 or 9
Oh
places,
nice.
but yeah, it's on Spotify and that, and yeah, we can link up via Instagram and we can talk some shit, no problem.
Okay, sick. All right. Well, yeah, nice meeting you, dude.
You
This
too,
is
man. You have a great day.
yeah, you too.
Talk
Later.
soon. Bye, everybody.